South Dakota would seem an economic impossibility disproven only by its existence. Faith is a tiny place, a remote, no stoplight
Thank you.
prairie town of 367. It's got a couple of gas stations and a couple of inns and restaurants and an auto parts store, but what it doesn't have is a single nationwide brand. It doesn't have a single branch of any store, restaurant, or service that exists.
I have $3 to $4 generals in my town. One sells PS4 games as well. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, like up in New England, the biggest dollar store is Dollar Tree. That's like a big one. And there's like some Family Dollar, but like there'll be like some Dollar Generals here and there. But like as you go towards like when I went to the Mid Atlantic area, there's a Dollar General everywhere in every small town. It's like insane how there's like so many over here.
Exists beyond the region around, except for Dollar General. But that doesn't explain the full extent of the anomaly, because Dollar General isn't just the only chain in Faith, it's the only chain in a 45-minute radius until one arrives at this Dairy Queen in the far larger 3,000-person tribal capital of Eagle Butte. A 367-person population just isn't typically enough to attract a nationwide brand. There's just not enough money in the area to make capturing it attractive, and yet somehow, Dollar General makes it work. While perhaps an extreme example, there's no secret about Faith. It's not some tourist mecca, it's not an interstate oasis. It does sit at the intersection between a state and US highway, but it's not on the fastest route between any two cities. So this store, somehow, is sustained by the tiny community that surrounds it. This is anomalous in the context of national retailers, but not in the context of Dollar General. They're consistently persistent in places simply too small for other chains. Its next nearest location to the north is in a town of 1,200, to the east 1,100.
Oh my! I thought it says lemon. I honestly thought it says Lemon, South Dakota.
And to the south and west,
Lemon.
540 and 530,
Lemon.
respectively. Walmart is also one of the most regular retailers in rural America, but they don't even come close to these numbers. There's no way to know for sure which are their lowest traffic stores, and therefore what the minimum population that can support their economics is, but by letting the quantity of Google reviews act as an imperfect proxy, their location in Gunnison emerges as Colorado's least popular location. 6,700 live within a 20-minute driving radius of this store, but revenue is likely buoyed by its positioning at the start of the dead-end highway up to the tourist town of Crested Butte. Similarly, Wyoming's least popular Walmart is its outpost in Rawlins, with a 6,300 person population within the same radius, but once again, its revenue is likely boosted by its location along Interstate 80. So perhaps the best evidence of the minimum population to support the retailer's economics comes from Alaska, where its least popular store sits on the island of Kodiak. 8,700 people live within a 20-minute radius, and there's clearly no interstate traffic coming through.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Walmart revolutionized retail through its ability to turn a profit in small, remote communities like Kodiak. Its impact decimated.
There's one across the street from another.
But
Oh.
Dollar General has taken that to a new extreme. Where Walmart entrenches itself in the thousands, Dollar General deals in the hundreds. This revolutionary retail concept starts on the inside. Total staff headcount at a given location typically sits between 6 and 10, and of those, just 2 or 3 might work at a given time. Given typical hourly rates and typical opening hours, that means Dollar General can spend as little as $300 to $400 a day staffing their lowest traffic stores. Then there's product offering complexity. A Walmart averages 140,000 unique products. They'll sell Coke in 10-count mini cans, 30-count mini cans, 12-count full-size cans, 24-count full-size cans, 12-count mini bottles, 6-count full-size bottles, 12-count full-size bottles, 1-count 2-liter bottles, 4-count 4-liter bottles, and
Or just don't buy soda.
then they'll offer all these sizes for Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Cherry Coke, and then they'll offer this same spread for every other soda brand and its variants, which is incredibly convenient. They have the exact soda, variant, bottle size, type, and quantity that any given person wants, but the permutations really add up. More individual products require a more complex supply chain, more floor space, and added staffing dedicated to organization, which adds to cost for the retailer.
No.
Dollar General, meanwhile, keeps it simple. They offer just 10,000 unique products, but they do this primarily not by reducing how many product categories they sell, but rather the optionality within each category. In a way, they're trying to be a mini Walmart, offering a one-stop shop experience, as long as you're willing to compromise on brand, size, quality, or quantity of a given product. So whereas Walmart has a pan or toilet paper or detergent aisle, Dollar General has a pan, a toilet paper, or a detergent. Now, Walmart is likely able to purchase Tide detergent from Procter & Gamble for a fairly low price because it's the largest retailer in the world and therefore has very strong negotiating power. If it were to stop stocking Tide, P&G's revenues would take an enormous hit.
Yeah, because like Walmart, for example, like if you want to get like medicine, it's very cheap to go get some medicine than if you just get medicine at like a CVS or like a regular grocery store that's like locally or like regional from your area.
But correspondingly,
So they always get
given the
like low
popularity of
prices
Tide,
on these.
Walmart could take a hit if consumers decided to go to Target to buy the brand instead.
Mhm.
Dollar General, meanwhile, has that same enormous negotiating power with their same enormous size, but crucially, they don't have to stock everything. Walmart's competitive advantage is that they're the definitive one-stop shop. They combine the local supermarket, hardware, electronics, home goods, and clothing stores into one. Dollar General's competitive advantage is that they're the shop. They are the only game in town, and so they just need to offer one brand of laundry detergent, and that's the detergent people will get. This bestows enormous negotiating leverage.
Oh my goodness.
Manufacturers will bend to their whims in order to become the Dollar General detergent supplier, meaning they might be able to get a similar or even better deal from P&G on detergent pricing than even Walmart. That's what leads to products like this: Dollar General's $1 Tide brand detergent. To balance the retailer's need for a low-cost offering with their desire to maintain a premium name brand image, Procter & Gamble has gone out of their way to manufacture a $1 Tide detergent bottle. Now, Walmart actually sells this same product for less. Their 128 fluid ounce size works out to under 12 cents per load, almost half of Dollar General's 20 cents per, but Dollar General's target consumer is one who is severely cash strapped. They cater to the class of consumers that might want to spend $10 on bulk detergent that will last for months, but chooses the $1 option regardless to keep enough cash on hand to pay rent before their next payday. So Dollar General actually charges more per load, and even better, their consumer will want to come back sooner than Walmart's to buy a refill, at which time they'll also buy whatever else they need, therefore extracting more revenue. But Dollar General's true strategic linchpin is the most anomalous aspect of its business model: its remote locations.
Yeah.
The retailer has turned what would be a weakness for others into the core of its strength. It starts with cost. Rent at this store in North Creek, New York is $118,000 a year, at this store in Sullivan, Maine, $103,000 a year, and at that Faith, South Dakota location, $106,000 a year. That works out to between $300 and $400 in rent per day, which, added to their $300 or $400 in daily staffing costs, underpins Dollar General's ability to run a store with under $1,000 of overhead per day. In general, they just won't set up a location in a place where they'll have to pay over $150,000 or so in annual rent. It just breaks their low-cost business model. But low rent costs are far from the key that unlocks rural America. Rather, remoteness itself enables their remoteness. Take their location in Haven, Kansas. This is a town of 1,170 that simply does not have a grocery store. They have a gas station and a liquor store and a coffee shop and diner, but they don't have a grocery store. Dollar General is not a grocery store, but their locations do stock shelf-stable dry goods and frozen food, and some sell a limited supply of perishables. The closest dedicated grocery store is a full 10-minute drive away in the next town, and it's small, not one that could necessarily fulfill all of a person's needs. The closest supermarket is a full 22 minutes away in the city of Hutchinson, so what happens in practice when Dollar General enters a market like Haven is that rather than making that 10 or 22-minute trip, people shop out of the local Dollar General for regular day-to-day needs.
That's
then
fair.
make less frequent trips to the distant grocery store for fresh and specialty items. But increasingly, this pattern isn't confined to Dollar General, and it isn't confined to rural America either. This is Atlanta, Georgia, and the surrounding cities, suburbs, and communities that comprise much of the broader Atlanta metro area. This is a map of their most common grocery stores: Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Lidl, Publix, Kroger.
Yeah,
Walmart.
Trader Joe's.
They all do the same thing. They all trend north and east. But people live here too, and they too need food to eat and stores to buy food to eat. For anyone, this would make grocery shopping more of a pain than it already is. Making things more difficult though, this gap of grocery stores is also home to the metro area's least mobile, as these census tracts contain, in the words of the USDA's Food Access Atlas, more than 100 households with no access to a vehicle and are more than a half mile from the nearest supermarket. Unsurprisingly, this correlates closely with tracts that are low income, as all these areas have a poverty rate of over 20% or a median family income of less than 80% of the median income for the state or metro area. Put together, Atlanta residents with the least money and least mobility are the farthest from supermarkets. Now, of course, it's not a simple coincidence that some of the poorest and least mobile populations of Atlanta are farthest from supermarkets. These, after all, are areas still grappling with the legacy of redlining in the past, and areas that some academics have identified
Dollar
as
Tree
current instances of supermarket redlining. The process by which businesses intentionally keep their distance from such areas for reasons that vary from crime rate and purchasing power to zoning restrictions and unfavorable street layouts. But regardless of their reasons, supermarkets simply don't exist in a large portion of the Atlanta metro area, creating an urban food desert. This is a void that dollar stores have stepped into. Unlike Atlanta supermarkets, dollar stores trend south and west, largely the areas left behind. They provide an important service. They provide foodstuffs and basic home supplies.
I haven't seen a Family Dollar for months.
At a low price point within walking distance or a manageable bus trip. This has happened in Atlanta, it's happened in Dallas, it's happened in New Orleans, and it's happened in a host of other major and minor American cities from Tulsa to Dayton. And in most of these urban cases, dollar stores effectively plug a hole that desperately needs to be plugged. It's for this reason that after some teenagers burned down a Dollar Tree in the city of Dayton in 2017, the community pleaded for it to be reopened.
You have many Family Dollars? Oh,
okay.
okay.
The former New Orleans mayor celebrated the proliferation of dollar stores as the return of business investment in the city's East End post-Katrina. But plugging a hole is not solving a problem. It's just an imperfect temporary fix, not one meant to last.
I want to see if there's a Family Dollar in my city. Hold on.
A dollar store in a food desert isn't neutral to the health of a community. It's outright negative.
Oh wait, there is.
Most American food deserts aren't so different from, of all places, Haven, Kansas. They have a dollar store, and they have, or until recently...
I just searched up Family Dollar in my city. I have like a population of like 66,000. There's about 5 Family Dollars. Actually, it's 4. 4 Family Dollars. I guess I just never seen them.
Had at least one grocery store that carries shelf-stable foods along with fresh produce and refrigerated meats and dairy products. The products that are lower margin for the business but lead to a more nutritious and diverse diet. Such stores have been harder and harder to come by, but many of America's tiniest towns have, against all odds, resisted the massive Albertsons and Kroger-fueled grocery industry consolidation.
Dude, I hear Kroger is really good grocery store. I think that's like in the Midwest kind of area.
Too small to be attractive for the supermarket chains, and are home to some of the country's last independent grocers, right-sized to fit the communities they serve, barely hanging on as the brutal economics of America's monopolistic system push them over the edge. But their perilous economics become all but impossible with the arrival of
You have 15 of Kroger's?
In Haven, Kansas, this store was Foodliner, which, after the opening of the Dollar General, saw its customer visits drop by nearly half, and after 3 years, saw its doors close for good. For any grocery store, it's typical for sales to drop by up to 30%.
Wait, guys, do you have a grocery store called Piggly Wiggly? I actually kind of want to go now. Piggly Wiggly.
When a dollar store is open nearby, as consumers head for canned soup, Frosted Flakes, Pop-Tarts, and the countless other shelf staples that are just a bit cheaper and a bit more.
Kroger's really good, certain things you want. Okay.
Kills the grocery store that counts on such sales to justify carrying fresh produce, pushing them out of business. This, in turn, makes it more difficult to buy healthy, nutritious food, destroying the food desert's oasis, and putting people of modest means and mobility at a nutritional disadvantage. And the impact of dollar stores on communities is broader than just what people eat. In early 2019, the Dayton Daily News reported on plans for a new Dollar General on the east side of town.
Piggly Wiggly is where you go to get stuff intentions.
And it'd be the 70th dollar store within a 10-mile radius of downtown Dayton, Ohio. Like Atlanta, Dayton's dollar stores map closely along its most disadvantaged and downtrodden areas. Where their density is the highest is where poverty rates are the highest, and where their footprint is nearly zero is the suburban communities of Kettering and Beaver Creek, where household incomes are higher and grocery stores far more prevalent. At the end of 2019, local news reported that there were 28 separate dollar store robberies in the Dayton area.
Why? Why would you rob a dollar store? You're not gonna get much money out of it.
Down from the high water mark of 32 in 2017, but up from 24 in 2018. Effectively, dollar stores here have become a hotbed for crime.
Why?
In the case of Dayton, it's not that dollar stores are to be...
Dude, you have to be like the dumbest fucking robber. Why? Why would you steal a dollar store? They don't have much money. Like, be smart about it.
blamed for the area's crime rate, but rather that the design of the stores make them easy targets. Principally, these businesses deal in cash, as not until 2004 did Dollar General even take credit cards, making them ideal
We don't have a
for
Piggly
the
Wiggly.
level of experience. Beyond cash, overflowing trash outside, cluttered aisles inside, full window advertisements, light staffing, and outdated, poorly placed cameras, all hallmarks of dollar stores, both attract opportunistic burglary.
Wait.
Cluttered aisles inside, full window advertisements, light staffing, and outdated, poorly placed cameras, all hallmarks of dollar.
Is that a thing? This has to be Photoshop. There's no way there's a Dollar Tree and a Family Dollar right next to each other.
Stores both attract opportunistic burglary and make it difficult for police to safely navigate once they arrive on scene. In Dayton, the problem got to a point where the police received an average of nearly 1,000 calls to respond to dollar stores every year. In response, the police began to proactively work with Family Dollar employees to establish policies and management practices, from upkeep to more frequent cash transfers, that would reduce vulnerability. But the training just didn't take, as employees turned over so frequently and cared so little about their near minimum wage employer that they simply couldn't be bothered. Such high resignation, in both senses of the word, point to
I
another
was there.
long-standing issue only exacerbated by the arrival of dollar stores. Along with further drying out food deserts and tempting crime, dollar stores provide areas with only a few meager jobs. The lean labor model may work for dollar stores' profitability, but it doesn't do much for the surrounding community. To keep labor costs low, a dollar store will only employ 6 to 10 people, and they'll only be paid around minimum wage. Dollar General, for instance, pays...
Bro, my state pays $7.25, so I can't even imagine just working there. You probably get paid like maybe $8 an hour.
92% of its employees under $15 an hour.
Oh!
By themselves, these numbers are bad, but they get worse once considering the grocery store that it might have replaced. That independent grocer provides around 20 jobs. The dollar store, less than 10. That independent grocer's profits stay circulating within the local economy. Dollar store profits are whisked away to faraway investors. With food, crime, and jobs, dollar stores aren't the root of a problem that impacts low-income communities, nor are they the answer. They're a creative response to problems that take advantage of problems and then exacerbate those problems. But perhaps the most foolproof evidence to articulate that dollar stores are just plain bad for rural and urban America alike is the fact that the communities themselves are pushing back against their advance. In response to the lack of pay and the danger inherent in working at Dollar General, employees in 2023 protested around the company's headquarters in Goodlettsville, Tennessee for better working conditions. In 2018, the city of Tulsa passed an ordinance to limit new dollar stores and instead encourage full-service grocery stores. In the move's wake, 75 communities have blocked dollar store proposals and 54 cities have enacted limits on dollar store development. Of course, these numbers are minor in comparison to the tens of thousands of dollar stores now spread across the US, but each case of grassroots pushback serves as a powerful rebuttal. That these communities, now marked by the neon signs signaling that the rest of the world has largely forgotten about them, are a problem, and enough of a problem to bring communities together to fight back. Fundamentally, Dollar General and its close equivalents are simply following the economic path of least resistance. They're outcompeting local businesses, and they're doing it fairly. But that path of least resistance leaves a trail of destruction that disadvantages individuals. That's because individuals' best interests can work against their best interests. People prefer having a dollar store and a grocery store and shopping at both, but in the process of doing what they prefer in the short term, they destroy that grocery store and create a scenario that is less desirable for themselves in the long term. So that's what government is for. It's an assembly of individuals into a collective that can solve these strange mismatches between two sets of best interests.
Yeah, because like I'm looking at my city, so I have 5 Dollar Generals, 3 Dollar Trees, and 4 Family Dollar. And there's some that are like right next to each other or near each other, but like majority of them are like kind of outside the city, just so like people who live outside the city, like in the suburban area, that way they can just go drive to any of the dollar stores and then just like uh get their groceries and whatnot.
American Main Street is a fragile environment. It's already taken a beating as big box retailers built up across the country, but that battle was fought from a distance. The one thing Walmart couldn't compete with was the locational convenience of small town stores for small towns. Dollar General can, and it is. It's got a simple yet unbeatable business model. It's a black hole that sucks up variety and vitality and litters the American landscape with these perfectly destructive beige boxes. Something I've noticed is that, despite being a very busy person, I always seem to have small little gaps in my day where I end
The
up
Dollar
scrolling
General
Twitter
director,
or TikTok or Reddit,
120
and
an
while that's
hour?
fine in
Wow.
moderation, I find myself using the excuse of I don't have time for why I don't do certain things that I genuinely want to do. That's why I'm such a big fan of our sponsor, Brilliant.
Okay. All right. Well, I enjoy that. That's actually pretty interesting. What's this other channel do? It's like very informational.